Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. As always, thank you for joining me. If you could, hit the subscribe button down below and let's get right to it. Now, the other day, Netanyahu of Israel put out this thing that aired on primetime television in different locations, especially in the Middle East and Europe, apparently saying that Iran lied about their nuclear ambitions. And that basically the Iran deal should be null and void due to the fact that apparently they lied. Now let's get into that a little bit about what he says and what they say, and really, what the ramifications may be. So first off, he makes the claim that basically they had a nuclear program that ran from 99 to 2003, which of course Iran says they never had, and they secretly continued running it under a different facade pretty much since then, since 2003, at least to 2009. Or even could have been possibly later, but the last I'm seeing is 2009. Based on what he said, that's what I'm seeing as well. But the problem is this. Is if Iran lied, then this definitely puts a hamper on being able to keep the Iran deal intact. But what it is the IAEA required Iran, as part of the deal, the Iran nuclear deal, to disclose any and all past nuclear weapons projects. And Iran said that they never did any of that stuff. And the evidence that that Netanyahu provided the other day shows that possibly they were lying. It shows, all the stuff shows complete contradiction to what Iran has been saying for almost a decade now. And completely contradicts what they told the IAEA in their report. And so if this turns out to be true, then it has a lot of ramifications. Those ramifications could be the end of the Iran deal. That could be one of the major ones right there. A reinstituting of sanctions and possible military action. The thing is, he doesn't really show that he just shows this stuff on the screen and says this is what it says. There's like highlighted areas on a piece of paper, and they blow up, with digital typing, not the actual words from the forms. So I'm not 100% convinced. I'm not saying I can't be convinced. I'm just saying right now, I'm not 100% convinced that this is true. One of the reasons for my doubts is Benjamin Netanyahu is known for lying. He has lied to every one of the United States presidents that I can remember in my life, since he's been in power in my adult life, for the most part. At least since George W. Bush, the second term there. He has convinced us that they're under attack when they're not. He has convinced our leaders to try and go to war. He has even been recorded as saying that the American president is his stooge. He basically called George W. Bush his stooge back in a 2006 recording. So it kind of the fact that I can't confirm anything he has said, and no one else has really confirmed it at this point. If the IAEA comes out and says that it's accurate, and then we'll have to go to there. I think we'll have to go deal with it then. He said that they were creating cores, nuclear cores. He said that they were working on the, how to get their ballistic missiles, which of course their ballistic missiles were not part of the Iran deal. And they're able to keep one nuclear facility, the main one that is actually required to house the IAEA investigative team, and they are allowed to investigate with no delay anything going on there. But the problem is, according to Netanyahu, Iran was supposed to have declared all their information, and they were supposed to have destroyed anything that pertained to a nuclear program if they had it. If this is true, then they didn't do that. And so that right there is a major problem. Now I understand that Israel has a lot of threats. A lot of them come from Iran and pretty much every nation around them. I get that. And they need to defend themselves. But for the sake of everyone involved, I hope, dear God, I hope Israel is not lying about what they displayed the other day. I hope they have a way to prove where they got it and prove that it's authentic. He said the U.S. has been showing it and they can vouch for its authenticity. And I don't know if that's true. You would figure if that was true, Donald Trump would have been tweeting all about it. And he hasn't been. So the question is Iran actually lying? Did they lie? Or is it possible that Netanyahu, like he has done Barack Obama and George W. Bush, is trying to play Donald Trump for a fool? Where they fabricated the whole thing and threw in just enough fact to make it seem legitimate. This will have to be, we'll see in the next coming days, but it's very ironic, the timing. A mere 12 to 13 days before it had to be recertified by the Trump administration, magically, Netanyahu has all this information. If that doesn't seem like a coincidence, I don't know what does. But that could be something. I mean, that's something we got to look into. We've got to truly look into this before we go dismantling the Iran deal. Now, the thing is with the Iran deal, it can be modified. We can make modifications if we can get all the sides to agree to it. But at the end of the day, this deal has taken 98% of their enriched uranium. And the deal is what, a 13-year deal, something like that? And there are inspections. So I don't understand. I'm not understanding why they would have lied about any of that stuff. But I think the IAEA needs to look at the documentation that Israel is providing, check for its authenticity, and go and do some investigations within Iran. And I think Iran, if they want to keep the deal intact, needs to open themselves up to a full investigation to make sure that they weren't lying. And if for some reason they were, we need to work on how to solve the problem. Because the Iran deal did a lot of good stuff. It took a lot of their nuclear capabilities away. It allowed for instant instant checks in certain places, like the Fordo facility that's in the mountain. But the problem is, he says that in a few years, the deal allows them to have hundreds of thousands of centrifuges and all their nuclear material they want, which isn't true. They're not allowed through the life of the deal to have enriched uranium higher than roughly 3.5%. We need roughly 18.5% to 20%, from what I've been told, to make a nuclear weapon. Maybe a dirty bomb, but definitely not a nuclear weapon. And that's for the life of the deal. They're only allowed 5,000 centrifuges, not hundreds of thousands as he claims. Now the thing is, this information, I think Iran should have destroyed it. But the problem is, if they didn't, they violated the terms of the agreement. And if you ask me, that could be enough to sway my opinion on the Iran deal. So I would love to see some verification of this. I can't get the verification. He says the Trump administration can vouch for its authenticity. But then again, the Trump administration doesn't want this deal to continue anyway, so they'll say anything's authentic. So I would like to see the IAEA investigate this in the next few weeks, look into some of these documents they have, and see if they're legitimate. If the IAEA comes back and says they're legitimate, then the Iran deal, as much as it pains me, will need to be dismantled. That's how I see it. Now, let me know down in the comments what you think on that. But this is a major issue. I think we need to make sure that Israel is telling the truth, because Israel has long been against this deal. They were against the deal before it was even before any information was even put out about it. So I think we have to make sure that they're being honest here. Because the problem is the end of the Iran deal. Okay? The end of the Iran deal means within the next year, Iran would have a nuclear weapon. As Barack Obama said, this deal is not about trusting Iran or believing a damn word they say. This deal was about verification. And I think, the IAEA needs to make sure they're doing everything they can to verify what's going on in Iran in regards to nuclear weapons and nuclear production. So, according to IAEA, though, there's no evidence in Iran that any kind of nuclear weapons work took place after 2009, and they don't even know if it took place after 2003. But they say there's absolutely zero evidence of it taking place since 2009. So I'm not sure what to think here. I don't know who's telling the truth. Iran says it's just propaganda, that Netanyahu is an infamous liar. On the other side, you got Netanyahu showing these documents saying that Iran brazenly lied in order to get a deal so they can make a nuclear arsenal. Now, there's some things that may be true, but there are some things that I just don't believe. And some things that just don't match the deal, the Iran deal, that Netanyahu had to say. Saying the deal gives them the ability to have hundreds of thousands of centrifuges and as much enriched uranium as they want. That is not what the deal is. The deal does not say that anywhere. Now, the thing is, if they kept this information, they could pull out of the deal whenever its time is up. And boom, they're right back where they were. So I agree with Netanyahu on that. So if Iran lied at all in the build up to making the deal and after signing the deal and telling the IAEA in 2015 that they never had a nuclear program, they never even tried to have a nuclear program, and this information turns out to be true, we're gonna have to put the kibosh on the Iran deal, and I'll have to change my opinion on the deal itself. I think it's a good deal. I think it was a great idea. But if they lied to start it, then they'll lie somewhere else down the road. And it's one of those, ill-gotten gains, I guess you could say. What is it? Fruit of the poison tree or whatever type thing. I don't know. But I just think it's terrible that, that if they did lie, I do think it's a terrible thing. I want it verified, though. I want proof that where they got it, not just some picture. Because that could have been a picture of anything from anywhere. They showed a picture of inside a building. And there's no proof in what he showed. That's all I'm saying. So let's try and verify this, find out if it's true. And if it's true, then we're going to have to relook at the Iran deal and possibly dismantle it. Anyhow, this has been The Big Rant Show. I've been your host, Jacob Keck. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you down the road.